All right, while we prepare for our next session, if you have not grabbed a swag bag on the seats, please do. And we would like to give a huge thank you to all of our brands who donated to those swag bags. I'm hoping there's one left that I can take home, but we'll see. Our next session is going to be around marketplace strategy. We're going to be touching on Amazon, Walmart, Target, all of our favorite places to spend money. So please welcome to the stage your panelist and your moderator.
Okay? Yes. Okay. All right. Whenever I want to talk retail, kick around an idea, or just have a question because I can't keep up with the pace of what's going on in marketplace, these are the three people that I call first. So we have some serious firepower on stage today. Really excited to do this panel. Why don't we start with some quick intros? Let's just go from my left all the way over to Shaw.
I'm Liz Welch. I'm the VP of Amazon at Voyageur Group. We are a full-service agency supporting Amazon, Walmart Marketplace, Target Plus, as well as Target Brick and Mortar, and soon to be Walmart Brick and Mortar.
Hi, I'm Jeff Douglas. I'm Vice President of Marketing for a company called Weyco Group. We sell Florsheim shoes, Numbo shoes, Stacey Adams shoes, mostly men's shoes. And I'm in charge of global marketing, direct-to-consumer, customer care, and analytics.
Hi, my name is Shah. I'm with Boiron. I'm a VP of Marketing and E-commerce. Boiron is a French homeopathic natural medicines company. We've been around for 90 plus years. There's a sample of one of our Arnicare products in your bag, so I hope you use it. We've been around 40 plus years in the US. We're based right outside Philadelphia. So good to be with you guys.
Okay, so marketplaces. Costs are very expensive. I saw that Amazon CPMs are up 47% year over year. I'm going to start with Liz because, one, she's a VP of Amazon, and two, she used to work at Target, so she knows this stuff better than anybody across the entire landscape. Let's talk about the state of the union for marketplaces right now. What's going on?
Yeah, the biggest challenges across all of our marketplaces right now is the problem with affordable traffic. So we've been talking about it all day. People are searching for products differently. And the power of Amazon previously was everybody goes to Amazon to search for their products. Well, they're not doing that anymore. And if you think about Target, people used to go into Target stores to discover brands. They're not doing that anymore. Target, in their latest summit, said, brands, we need you to go back to bringing people into our store. Traffic and affordable traffic is a problem, not only on Amazon, but across. And so content plays into how you would be driving your strategy off platform to Amazon or to these other channels in order to mitigate those pressures of less traffic, but they're still CPCs. People are still paying to win those spots. So you have to be thinking about that differently and where you're driving that traffic to offset that pressure.
Jeff, I this morning just went on Amazon and typed in Weyco dress shoe. That branded search is very competitive, and it's very clear that they've changed their entire approach to branded search. So if I'm a brand, should I just try to fight this conquesting with every dollar I have and defend my real estate when it comes to branded search? Or do I have to think a little bit differently about this?
Branded search is something to defend. But it's definitely not going to win you more consumers. I would say we have maybe 20% of our budget relate to defense, and that is really a massive shift from kind of where we were before. What we found from conquesting for us is more of people are much more specific on a platform like Amazon, so the winning of the conquesting became incredibly expensive. It's more finding tangential keywords, and being able to really think about it from a funneling perspective and being able to say, where is that person in the customer journey? How do I supply content to them in order for them to be familiar with our brand? And being able to just continue ratchet that down so that once they get to the buying decision, they're really thinking about, yes, that product fits my needs. And I really think about, like, somebody might wake up and say, oh, in 2 weeks I have a wedding. That's a very different starting place from I'm going on vacation. And so you really have to think about this kind of matrix of what content do I have, what products do I have, what's the need, and really trying to ratchet that down to be able to find the right place at the right time. It's like classic marketing, but at the same time, it's much more matrix-driven, much more KPI-driven. You definitely just need to be very focused on these platforms.
And I've heard you talk a lot about meeting the customer where they are and enabling them to buy when they want to buy, where they want to buy. But I was hoping you could talk a little bit about your D2C strategy. I know we're talking marketplaces, but there's something to being able to own that email list and that relationship a little more directly, yeah?
Yeah, so I also oversee 14 global domains. It's about 15% of our total global revenue. And this, I would say, Amazon is great at transactions, at finding people and making them easy to buy. Direct to consumer is about enriching the relationship. So I think it's meet the customer where they are. So to me, it's more about how do you create the demand? How do you create the content in order for you to inspire them for when they're ready to purchase, and then meet them where they are. So it's, if that's on Amazon, that's great. For us, it's finding the right place at the right time, but they're not going to give you an email. They're not going to give you the tools to be able to do sophisticated remarketing. So for us, you know, D2C is very attractive, but Amazon's scale is like insane. So that's definitely kind of, it's not really Amazon versus D2C. It's more of where can I efficiently create demand, and then how do I get them down the funnel?
So well said. Shah, for you in the homeopathic medicine space, trust is a very big factor here. You have to be able to build, cultivate, maintain trust.
Yes.
How do you think about that in the context of marketplaces specifically?
Yeah, so we're humans, we process images and visuals 60,000 times faster than text. So, and when you have content or product that you have visually, it needs to project trust and credibility. So a lot of times in the marketplaces, products are sold that are fake, or especially in our space in supplements, vitamin supplements, and wellness category, there's a lot of products being made that are not real, and it looks so close to the actual product. So there's a huge problem of fake products and counterfeit products on Amazon and marketplaces. So trust is a huge issue for us, not only from the content standpoint, but also the product itself. So, which is why we've really leaned in onto our D2C strategy, to develop our D2C strategy, because a lot of folks who are buying remedies for yourself, for your kid, or for your parents, you know, you want to make sure you're getting the right stuff, that has the right ingredients, you know. And so they come to our D2C site, and we really leverage that. Of course, Amazon is the beast. We call, you know, it's the you know, the gorilla in the room. And it's massive for us. However, we're using Amazon to grow our D2C business. And how are we doing that? So we're using something called Buy with Prime. It's a brand new program. And essentially, with your Prime membership, you can log into our D2C and get free shipping and all the bells and whistles you get. But you're buying it from us directly. So it encourages people who are kind of not very trustworthy of Amazon, come to us and purchase from us directly, but still get that fast shipping. So we're kind of taking advantage of the beast and using that to grow our D2C business. And then at the same time, we are retargeting them on Amazon. So we have a pixel on our website. So the minute you leave and go back to Amazon to shop Prime Day, whatever you're shopping, we will retarget you there for our D2C brand. And so you're coming back to us. So I call that this infinite loop. So wherever you are, you kind of direct it towards buying on our D2C, or you can, if you want to buy it on Amazon, that's fine too. We will not hate you for that, so we'll take it. But that's been our strategy. Yeah.
Curious, have you directed more ad spend to Amazon's DSP in recent years, just given how much data you have on the consumer versus, I don't know, using like Trade Desk inventory or another platform?
Yeah, so Amazon DSP is super powerful, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. And they have something called Amazon Marketing Cloud, which has 5 years worth of consumer shopping data. So all your shopping habits for the last 5 years, not I, but Amazon has access to. And we can look back and say, hey, you purchased Boiron like 5 years ago, but you haven't purchased in the last 2 years. So I can retarget you and bring you back to our D2C or to our Amazon marketplace or our listings. So it's super powerful. So I definitely recommend all the brands to lean into Amazon DSP. You can also target if we sell at Whole Foods as well. So hopefully you're buying at Whole Foods as well. We can retarget you if you shop in a specific category at Whole Foods. So if you're buying, for example, an oat milk, I know that, and I can target you specifically, all the oat milk buyers, to buy our product for, like, let's say you have a digestive issue, for digestive remedies. So super powerful. I highly recommend it to do more of that. So.
Fantastic. All right, so some brands are winning on Marketplace right now, and I was hoping that we could dive into what it is that they're doing to actually create separation. You hear a lot about the struggles. We just touched on a few of them. But Liz, to you, what are the brands that are winning on Marketplace right now doing a good job of?
Yeah. So I would say the brands that are winning with Marketplace are thinking about their holistic strategy first, and then they're deploying the strategy and they're actually staying flexible with their budgets. Because you want your customer to choose where they're going to convert. Now, we've talked a lot about it's better for brands to convert on D2C because we keep the information, but stepping into the consumer shoe, they don't care which is more profitable for you, and they don't care what kind of data you're getting. They want trust and ease and price point, essentially. And so the brands that are thinking about their holistic story, what am I trying to say at this campaign or at this time, and then using the data of where people are purchasing and then the efficiencies of those platforms to then be nimble with their strategy and their budget, those are the brands that are winning, because then they're not beholden to, I have to spend $100K in Q1, and even though this channel is working so much better, that's not my pool of money. Those are the brands that are getting stuck.
Can you talk a little bit about building off-platform demand or interest on Meta, on Reddit, on TikTok, and taking traffic from these sources into Amazon?
Absolutely. So it was touched on a little bit at the beginning, but what we're doing to help with that in particular is Reddit. So Reddit is driving the most number of organic traffic or impressions off platform to Amazon, and it has the highest conversion rate of any of those that we're doing. Obviously, Meta drives a lot of traffic, but that conversion is not as strong as what we're seeing on Reddit. And it goes back to the conversations of search is down on Amazon because people are going to the LLM. And so what are they going to the LLM for? They're going for specific answers. And so if we're feeding them those answers already in Reddit, we're doing part of the work for the LLM, and we're driving competency in our retail channel, whether that's Amazon, Walmart, or Target. So I think the messaging needs to be consistent, but you have to go to the ground floor of where the consumer is initially when they're doing the research so that you can present different conversion areas for them to go.
Shah, skipping over to you. Are you also prioritizing off-platform?
We are, yeah, and especially with influencers, it's really important. Like I talked about, trust. A lot of the times, people are trusting the influencers to make a purchase decision or find the best product. So I'll give you one example. Last January, we had this one TikTok creator. She talked about Arnicare, and she was using it as a natural Botox, and it firms the skin, blah, blah, blah. All the things we cannot say, basically. So we cannot endorse, we cannot like it, we cannot comment on it. We just let it go and just let it fly on the platform. It generated something like, I forget, 17 million views, something like that, and our sales just skyrocketed. So those kind of moments, what we do is on the digital side, on the advertising side, we retarget all those people coming to our website or Amazon, all those places, marketplaces, and we retarget them, like I said, that infinite loop, so to bring them back and introduce them to other products that we have. So outside traffic is becoming more and more important, especially with the Amazon and all the marketplaces. So more and more we're leaning into influencer marketing. So that's why we're here, working with some of you in the room. And Cohley, by the way, is one of the best platforms to work with. I highly recommend working with them. And they've been helping us with that process. So like I said, it goes back to trust and also traffic that's organic or paid. In this one instance, we didn't pay for it, but it worked really well for us. So.
How do you think about this, JD?
I would say we're not doing as much kind of driving traffic to Amazon. I would say we are very focused on the ecosystem within Amazon, so obviously an opportunity. I'll be talking to Liz later. But I would say there's a handful of things that Amazon gives you that most retailers don't. And that is your ranking within the category. It gives you glance views, which is traffic to your PDPs. And so it's really using that data and really being laser focused on what marketing activities am I doing. So we already talked about the stories, but then how are those improving those products? So if I know I have this matrix of products and a matrix of stories, I'm very laser focused on saying, okay, in men's Oxfords, if I have a product that's currently not on the top 100, that is my goal. The minute that you get a product on the top 100, the algorithm for Amazon goes crazy. So that's what I'm laser focused in on for my products. Now, I have a very big catalog. I think I have 254 different products. There's no way I'm getting all of those on the top 100. I'm usually working with our kind of sales teams to really say, what's our 10? How do we get 10 onto the top 100? That is not an easy feat. So again, back to this, people are looking at research before they really even get there. They have a need in mind. They start sometimes with Amazon, somewhere else, and it's really about building the story, building the confidence, building the trust, so that when they get to that moment of purchase, they're finding you, they're converting. But Amazon's very unique, and I think that they give you an incredible amount of data. I don't know if everybody's leveraging it to the best of their abilities to be able to get those products on the top 100.
Let's talk about content on PDPs. So it is very often that we'll talk to companies about retail strategy, and the first thing they'll talk about is how much money they're spending on retail media. Totally get it, totally makes sense. But with that, it's really nice that if you're gonna bring someone to your page, that you present a certain amount of information and content to actually take that traffic, build just enough trust to, ideally more, but just enough to get the actual conversion. That's a high barrier to actually hit. So Liz, you have a whole formula for this, but
Yeah.
we'd love for you to break it down. Yeah.
So, the revenue calculation is traffic times conversion times average selling price. And so last year at the Cohley conference, we talked all about best-in-class PDP, right? Like how you need to build out your image carousel and your page in order to get people to convert. So to not belabor that point, you want to make sure your full image carousel is built out. But there's actually 4 types of video that you should have on every PDP. Video is content king. Like Shaw said, we process it so much better than text or visuals. Video just like gets that emotional piece across the finish line. So those 4 videos is 1, UGC and social proof. Like people just want to see that other people like that product. Second is brand story. So while branded content isn't as important, Amazon is even removing the sponsored brand placement, switching it out for video. It's still important on the PDP for them to trust you and like build a rapport with you as a brand. So you want your UGC, you want your brand story, you want us versus them. Huge piece for conversion. Why should I buy your product over someone that is similar, whether that's more expensive or less expensive? Why you? And then the last piece is a product demonstration, like really getting into the nitty gritty. Can I break this product? Can I drop this product? Can my toddler break this product? If you have those 4 videos on your product detail page, your barrier to conversion will essentially be gone.
Jeff, the sequencing challenge. Talk to us about it.
Okay. Well, I'm first going to kind of go with what Liz just talked about, because putting images with your features, benefits in the carousel is definitely something that you should be doing. The other thing is, back to this top 100, look at the top 10 or 20 people in your category. What does their PDPs look like? What content? How do you beat them? It's definitely something to be looking for. Sequencing. Sequencing is actually more of a YouTube term. I don't know how many people advertise on YouTube, but it's this idea of I've got 20 videos. So which one do they see first? Then what comes next? And so on and so forth, right? So if I've never heard of the brand, I want them to know, who am I? What's my value prop? And then you start bringing them down through the funnel. And Amazon does a terrible job at this. YouTube does the best job at this. So really trying to find, but not getting too bogged down on that, because the sequencing, It matters, but at the same time, so we worry about fatigue, right? If you only have like 7 pages or 7 kind of moments with time, it's the same video over and over and over. So anybody here who watches connected TV most likely has this experience where they see the same ad, and by the end of the episode, you're about to murder whoever put that on there. And it's the same thing, right? But it's just really trying to figure out this matrix. I keep on talking about it, but it's really about the same types of videos or the same type of content that Liz just talked about, and really being focused on the performance. Now, at the end of the day, we're all kind of judged by the C-suite as to what is working. I need money. So I'm looking at that matrix, and I'm really thinking about, like, okay, if that sucks, then I need to replace that content. But I think one of the things that a lot of marketers aren't as focused on is, oh, I'm going to get a new video. It's like, no, you have to look at that matrix. What exactly are you replacing? What is the purpose of that? And I think that would be something that everybody in here should really be thinking about. So I'm going to take that specific thing out of the matrix. I'm going to build another one for it, not just pick one out of the sky. So again, back to Cohley briefing and being able to really be, what am I putting in that brief? How am I going to get that content? How do I get more of it? And I can just keep on testing.
And how do you decide when to pull an asset out of the carousel? Is it for holiday specific? Timing
does
promotions.
matter. Again, like volume of how many people see this. Right. But at the same time, I would say within 30 days, you should know the answer to that question. And the real question is, what's the longevity of it? I've had some that fatigue out in 30 days. I've had other ones that could go 6 months. So it's just, again, really being laser focused. And the KPI, of course, we're a conservative Midwestern company, and it's very much return on ad spend, and really being able to understand our cost structure and making sure to drive more revenue.
Yeah, this is a drum that we've been beating for a few years now, but very firm believer that it's well worth the time to understand the commonalities of your sort of 1 and 2 star reviews on Amazon, or just retailers in general. Exclude anything that's shipping or logistics related. The other themes that you notice in those 1 and 2 star reviews oftentimes can be addressed with video content head on. So instead of just hoping that those reviews or that negative sentiment is just suppressed over time, address it head on. I mean, sure, incorporate that feedback into the next iteration of the actual product. Sure, if it's hard to clean, then it's hard to clean. Like, let's fix that. In the meantime, we have a ton of inventory we got to get through. So let's actually reduce return rates and meet it head on.
And there's lots of tools out there to get more reviews. I mean, sometimes you'll get like a brand new product and you get sunk by just a couple reviews. Almost all the platforms have some kind of review engine, including Cohley, to be able to get. I'm going to give you the plug. Don't worry. But they definitely have ways of being able to get reviews. Now, the real question, the $1 million question is, what's the difference between 40 reviews and 400 reviews? And I think that really depends on the category and the product and kind of the competition. But at the same time, just getting that first 40, it makes a huge difference in terms of sales trajectory.
And Shaw, you had a point on how short-form video can be used across the consumer journey, not just on retail. Yep. How do you think about content, living on PDP, organic social, wherever it might be valuable?
Yeah, so we're starting to boost a lot of the UGC and influencer content now as part of our ad mix. So because to your point, Jeff and Liz, people have ad fatigue. When you see that ad, Liberty Mutual, I don't know, is anybody from Liberty Mutual in the audience? They forgot to turn the cap, frequency cap on. So, so you have to have a mix, and I think this is where the influencers and you guys come in, the creators, because you offer such a great storytelling, and the best performing ads are actually the ones that are storytelling and the UGC and influencer content. And our efforts, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars creating ads, you beat them out because your story, your storytelling is a lot more powerful than just the brand's ad. So we're mixing it now. We're starting to boost that, and we're going to start using that in our PDPs as well. We have so many reviews where it's not paid. People are posting their pictures of their face, their bruised face, and their, how Arnica helped, and so forth. So it's incredible. People are so open and posting that. So again, it goes back to the trust. When people share like that authentically, the reviews and the storytelling, it really makes a huge difference. And they don't feel like they're watching an ad when they see it in Meta or other places. we're using these media pieces. So, yeah.
Great stuff.
Can I go off the rails a little bit?
Oh my God, I love when you do that.
Go.
Yes.
This is actually a question for Liz. Yeah, I know.
It's not on my note card.
No, it's not on your note card. It's not on your note cards. So everybody most likely is strapped for content. So the question is so where should the audience start? Is it better to have one piece of content for each piece of the funnel, or is it better for you to look at what's kind of working and just kind of double or triple down?
From an Amazon perspective, what we prefer is kind of a like blended approach. So we need to make sure that we have content hitting on each piece of the funnel, but we need to test and iterate and figure out with data what people are actually engaging with. I would say for Amazon in particular, they are further down the funnel. And so if you are alleviating barrier to purchase, that is going to be on Amazon, the content that does the best to get you to a revenue number. But if you're struggling with traffic and awareness of your brand, you cannot skip on the upper funnel pieces of things because people aren't going to trust you and you're not going to move them down the funnel. So we absolutely need each layer of the funnel, but we need breadth across. And I think this was touched on a bunch earlier in today's segment. You just have to be cranking through content. It kind of brings me back, like when I was at Target when digital came about, the store buyers were like, well, those digital sales are stealing my store sales. And it's like, no, ma'am, that's a Target sale. And the customer doesn't know that that's a different P&L. And so we just have to have, as a brand, you have to have that same frame of reference of like, I'm just trying to sell water bottles to the Zach point. And so what do I need to tell to my customer in these different channels to help them understand who I am as a brand and how to get me to buy? And then we can test and iterate. But if we don't have breadth and if we don't have something hitting on each of those pieces, it's going to be a disjointed story and you're not going to get the results that you want. Thanks for the question.
Liz is so knowledgeable that another marketplace guru couldn't help himself on stage. Couldn't even wait till after the session to ask the question.
Go for it.
I mean, it was relevant, but fantastic. Okay, so you just talked about the marriage between online and in-store. That was a perfect segue. I don't know if you did that intentionally or not. Oh, you did?
I did.
Wow. She read the notes.
That's how good she is.
It just comes so naturally. You, of course, because you live and breathe and absolutely love this stuff, watch the you watch like the quarterly earnings calls from Target. You go to every summit. You basically could run the company at this point. But I know that was just the topic of one of their summits, consistency between in-store and online.
Yes.
Right. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so essentially what Target is saying is that you can't rely on them anymore to help people learn about your brand. They can't guarantee that you're going to be in the same shelf in each store. They can't guarantee that you're going to be in each store. And they can't guarantee that the store is going to put you out on the shelf. And so they need you to tell as equal as a message on your side as they're telling on theirs. And I think same with Amazon, just Target is going to be more prescriptive about it. But Target also has cachet that Amazon doesn't really, and they're trying to build, but they're not very good at it. And so like working with those creators on what that Target style hashtag can look like in order to get that trend aspect. But Target is going to be one of those partners that like they will lean in if you are driving meaningful traffic. And so think about how your story could help them and their customer. Because that's really what they're struggling with right now is traffic. And once people get into the store, they get excited, they shop the aisles, but their traffic is just really suffering. And so what is that marriage between your story and their story?
Right, and we know that there's a lot of consumers that get to an aisle at Target and just pull up their phones and start researching. So again, very much connected.
Got to be a synergy, yep.
They're not cannibalizing each other. Again, let the customer shop how they want to shop.
Yep.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on consistency of message between online and in real life?
Yeah, omni is very real. I mean, I think we all know that, and we all see it through a store. As you see somebody in the aisle, head down on the phone. Pricing transparency is so real. We spend a lot of time segmenting our products in order for us to try to break down those barriers. I don't know if that's even an option for your individual businesses, but really about what is that person seeing? I think on the last panel, somebody was talking about there's a question that was typed in and a video comes up. That is absolutely happening, especially in our space. That is a very recent change in terms of the Google algorithm, and I see a lot of YouTube videos up there. So again, it's just like trying to say, what does that person have in their mind for for your products, and what content do I have to be able to solve that? Now, there's an infinite number of questions that are going to have, so you're not going to solve it all. But it's just a little bit of that same, like, what are those 4 videos? It's like, what are those 10 questions that they might have, and having that available so that when they type that in, that's the first thing that comes up. They'll immediately engage with it. The measurability, we've been talking about that, is really tough. So this is more of like a marketing purists of being able to say, I know this solves a problem, so I'm going to do it because it's the right thing, not necessarily because it's a specific KPI. But Omni, for us, I see it in every single time I do store visits and market visits.
And what I would say is, if you don't know where to start for what those questions are, go to your Amazon PDP. Rufus or Alexa is serving those up on your PDP right now. Make videos around those questions. They're laying them out there for you.
Yeah, on Google, it's like 3/4 of the way down. It's common questions, like questions, and you could easily...
They're giving them to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's funny. I think a lot of brands almost like avoid that, understanding this and understanding what people are asking. It's almost like it's uncomfortable or something like that. Yeah. Lean into it. Yeah, it's a great source of content.
It's basically pointing out your communication gaps.
Yes.
Right? And so just like, all right, I missed that. Here we go. Here's your piece of content for it.
Right, address it. Yeah.
One of the major issues with GEO right now is there's no search console for chat. There's no search console for Claude. So you don't know what that is. There's lots of tools out there, but I would agree that they are serving you which questions are currently happening, at least on Google.
I just want to add, one more thing. We have to talk about AI GEO. So Gemini has been absorbing all the videos on YouTube. So YouTube is second biggest search engine in the world. And so any videos that you upload to your channel as a creator or as a brand, YouTube already takes all of the voiceover and it's already has indexed all of that. So in AI mode in Gemini, when you search for a product or brand, they're already pulling all that information. So Google is heavily leaning into YouTube to pull brand information and help with AI visibility for the brand. So they have deprioritized Reddit and they're really heavily leaning to YouTube. So just a little tip for you guys. So continue, don't abandon YouTube. YouTube Shorts, they're super important if you're a brand or a creator, so lean into that.
And that's specifically a Gemini Google thing.
Yes.
If you try to put it like in chat, like, hey, do you have access to this YouTube video? They'll say, I could see it, but I don't have the transcript. So it's definitely a Google Gemini thing,
yeah,
and
exactly,
it's incredible.
Exactly. True, very true.
This theme of content feeding the LLMs has come up a lot today. I think it's pretty clear that no one has a perfectly sorted out, mapped out strategy on how to nail this. But at the same time, I was talking to Jeremiah at lunch about this. This could very well be like the dawn of, the new SEO, the new way of actually discovering, researching, vetting companies, products, everything from homeopathic care to working with a company like Cohley. I know we don't have it perfectly figured out, but I have to ask each one of you, because you're so thoughtful on topics like this, what should brands be thinking about when they think about best practices now? What should their expectations be? Run with it.
Yeah. I mean, like Jeff was saying, like there are partners out there that say that they can measure this. I think it's changing so quickly. Like you're probably just as effective of like going to your own ChatGPT and typing things in. So what I would say is the LLMs are pulling from where people, unique people, not AI bots, are talking about people, product, culture. And so Reddit, if you are not on Reddit, if you do not have brand ambassadors, if you are not doing sponsored content on Reddit, ChatGPT in particular loves to pull from Reddit. YouTube is a huge one that is being referenced. Pinterest, even if you go back to like old affiliate marketing tactics, that is how the LLMs are getting their information. So I think like the old days of you could have a blog and you're like, this blogger is like so off the rails. Actually, that's great content. That is feeding the LLM to answer a bunch of unhinged questions that a normal person would ask. And so go back to your grassroots, your guerrilla marketing. That is where you're going to build the foundation that that the LLMs are going to then serve back.
Yeah, it almost feels for me that I rewound to 2012 from a SEO perspective, as like backlinking. So if you go into any of the chat and you ask, what's the best men's wedding dress shoes, and then you get the results, but then you say, where did you get this information? Give me the citations, and you look at it. And so I do this all the time. And I look at what's being referenced, and it's kind of insane where they're pulling some of this information from. And so they're figuring it out. It's getting better. But I would say it feels like I am living 20 years ago in terms of I'm back to backlinking strategies. This is insane. It shouldn't be, but it is what is happening. So deploying affiliates to be able to do that, right? So how do you equip people to be able to go out there and answer some of this? Get more out there, so breadth and being able to catch wind into the sails. Also for us, so again, these 14 domains, only about 1% of traffic is AI generated for us right now. Google AI overviews is where it's at, just from a volume perspective. So start there, and they give you much better tools to be able to look at that. That's still through Search Console. You're still using some of the classic methods there, but it is changing very fast. We do use a separate tool. We prompt, I think we have 100 prompts per brand that we're tracking every single day and just trying to figure out, do we show up? Where do we show up? But those 100 prompts are a little bit of plucking from the sky. We do use Google to be able to find some of those questions, but it is so Wild West. It's still like the beginning of the internet. And being able to do it. So don't spend too much time there. I'd really be thinking about the content matrix and kind of where are you being discovered and discoverability, and being able to try to kind of meet the customer where they want to convert.
Yeah, I mean, back to this theme of trust. I know this is an attribution nightmare, but I saw a B2B company recently ran $1 million ad campaign directing traffic directly to ChatGPT. And I know that's a tough one to follow through with. Probably not going to get sign off from the CMO on this. But, I mean, if it does go to show, consumers trust these LLMs as a source of information.
It's too easy.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And hey, if you're showing up top of the top, I guess let consumers shop how they want to shop. So, did that rhyme? Wow.
Didn't know you could rap.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that's a happy hour thing. It's past happy hour. Shaw, how do you think about content feeding LLMs? I know you've touched on it a few times.
So there are multiple tools for AI visibility, AI optimization tools out there. So there's so many of them. And Google just rolled out a free tool. So take a look at Google Merchant Center and Google Search Console. It gives you your AI visibility score for Google AI mode. So AI answers. So it's free. Log in there, take a look, and it'll give you your share of voice, et cetera. So it just was announced last week at the GML. So those are some of the tools. And for us, we have a big task force right now to work on this. It's a big project. As a company, we're tackling it. For us, homeopathic and natural products, the biggest obstacle is education. Because a lot of people have misconception what our products do or what they don't do. And so biggest thing is for us education. So the more blog articles we have, more YouTube videos, influencer content, the better, and helps us to educate the mom, the consumer that's looking for a specific remedy. So that's why for us it's even more important to feed these LLMs. There's about 40 million searches daily for health-related questions on ChatGPT. ChatGPT alone is 40 million. So that's over 250 million a week. That's tons of people. It's like Dr. Google or Dr. ChatGPT. Now people are telling things that they don't tell their spouse or their parents, and they're telling things. They're very private health information and trying to get answers, which is crazy. But it goes back to self-care and trust, and people are putting a lot of trust in these platforms. And the brands that will win are the ones that have the right content and the visibility and the right products. So that's what we're trying to do. Everything we make is natural, so we're trying to educate consumers about our products, and it's going to be even more important work for us. Kind of going back, like you said, 10 years, blogging was the big thing, so we're going back to creating those kind of content.
Backlinking. Yeah.
Backlink,
Yep,
yeah.
all comes back around. I feel like it'd be really selfish of me to not offer up the opportunity to ask this panel questions. So the floor is open for questions.
I didn't even have to walk that far this time.
Hello, yes. So on the topic of GEO, hi, I'm Tom Frankie. I'm with Sunday Collective. I've joined with Jeremiah recently. But so for me, when I think about GEO, I feel like the moment that they interject your name into it, like, I want to buy this kind of shoe, not I want to buy a shoe, right?
Yep.
So when the way that I think about it is, how do you get them to that moment to mention your name to the LLM? And then how does the LLM react after you're mentioned, right? And
Yeah.
that was, I mean, it kind of might open up some things, but that's kind of how I was thinking.
Yeah, so where I'm focused is things like non-branded, because that's really where somebody just has a central question, like, I have a wedding, what do I wear with a navy suit? I'm going to a beach wedding. What are the right beach wedding shoes? What's appropriate? And that tends to be more fundamental questions. It's more top of funnel. Once they get to Florsheim, beach shoes, like, I've won. That's awesome. I'm on. Now it's how do I connect them with the right shoes where they want to transact? But like, my goal is really focused on those big kind of fundamental questions and being able to say, but there's like thousands, tens of thousands of different permutations of those questions. That's that's my beef right now, is just Google gives you an incredible tool, the Search Console, to be able to say what's the most popular. And sometimes the sequencing of words, you're like, nobody really does that, do they? But it's real, right? So you're optimizing for that. And also AEO, I know everybody has all these acronyms, right? Answer engine optimization. So some of the things that I really think about are just, what are those products? Like, what am I trying to solve with some of these? Is it, and unfortunately, our products are very close to one another. So it's hard to be able to say, like, well, wedding shoe, formal shoe, well, I have 5 different formal shoes. They're all great for you, right? The point is getting them onto the site and letting them make that choice, or bringing them to Amazon, letting them to see that.
Can I add on to that? So one other thing that's important, not only our own blogs and our own properties like brand.com, et cetera. The other thing that's important is your digital shelf. So your Target.coms, Walmart, Amazons, and all of those. Why? Because a lot of those LLMs are also reading and sourcing all the content from those PDPs, like Rufus or Alexa. It's looking at the brand, but also it's looking at the PDP or the product detail page of that. So that's why digital shelf is super important, and you have to optimize and have the best of digital shelf, have the videos, the content, all of that is getting sucked into all these LLMs. So don't ignore your retailers and your omni-channel presence and digital shelf. Super, super important part of your success with the AEO, GEO.
I think just to put a caboose on that, if someone's already typing in your brand, like, we're not trying to solve for that problem. Like, then you already have share of mind for that customer. But for instance, Curology is one of our brands, and they had an old acne face wash that was BPO, which is an ingredient that is becoming a little bit controversial. So they launched a new acne wash. And so our goal would be to figure out on the PDP for our new launch how to serve the LLMs for a question like, what's the real difference between BPO and sal acid for an acne face wash? Something like that. So you're even competing with your own product to tell the customer of why this new product is better for you and you should convert into it. And so I think thinking more of like, how is your product going to solve a problem, and then what is that context question that people are going to ask, and then deliver the solution within your content. I think if branded is already in that search, you don't really have to worry about that because they're already connecting the dots between your product category and your brand name.
Good question. One more?
I'll go across now.
Yeah, this was a little more of a hike.
This is a little bit of flip side of AI, I guess, but you do see like working in the back end and in marketing, I'll search the same question as a coworker and we'll get 2 totally different responses. Do you guys see any negative side effects of discrediting your brand if it comes up on an AI search? Like maybe someone has bought a product and it's not the same AI said, and so now they're discrediting brands more than they are using it to shop because of the controversial sides of it? Or is that kind of solved with what you just said in terms of product education?
Yeah, I think if you have consistent messaging for your brand and across your platforms, that's not really a problem I'm worried about. Because if you're staying true to brand, staying true to what your product is, you're following all legal and compliance types of claims that you can make, it's really then I think on the consumer to vote whether or not they believe the LLM. But from our perspective, you just want to be where the eyeballs are, and then you need to be consistent and honest.
And try to pile in more content. So if you see that specifically, back to this kind of YouTube videos showing up, that's the first thing you should be thinking about is what content can I generate that helps that person see what's really going on. So it's like all of the things we've talked about today, people just want to know, what am I going to get? What am I buying? Because oftentimes that AI, it could be an AI generated image, right? I don't know what that thing really is. So the more you could pile in around it and answer some of those questions, I think the more it'll show up consistently. But it is wild, wild west. Like I've seen 20 different results for the same thing, and it's just like...
And it's going to stay tailored like that. Like if you search a face wash on Amazon, mine's going to look different than Tom's, it's going to look different, and so it's going to continue to get more customized. So I think, yeah, consistency.
And one more thing, I think we're talking about social media, so it's still super important building a community, because sometimes, you know, like this lady who said, Arnica is a natural Botox or whatever, but we had tons of people who use our products commenting on her posts saying, hey, this is not right, or you should use it for this, or whatever. So they're already correcting that. And so that's why it's still very important to build that community, because they're going to do the work for you, advising. We can't comment on anything on those posts, but they're doing the work for us. So that's kind of kudos to our social media team, Angelica, who's here, and Brian and the team. So that's, I think, if you build that community, they're going to help you.
Perfect way to wrap. Thanks so much, you three.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.